Take a look at example 1. They have a fraction in this expression and a decimal in this expression. When you're doing this, you're going to start out by simplifying your original expression so you see it in both forms. 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5. So you're going to rewrite this as a decimal because you did have a fraction. So we're going to go ahead and look at our options, and we're going to set up a little grid so we can check every single answer and make sure that we get all the correct ones. Because it says all the expressions, there is a chance that there's more than one. Put more than one answer. Underline all. Be careful on the cast that you aren't tricked by circling the one option, giving up, and moving on. You need to check all types of answers. So A has 0.5 on the outside of parentheses. What am I doing to both numbers inside, Grant? By what? 0.5. 0.5 times 0.1 is what? Grant. It's just 0.5. Okay. Let's put that there. And 0.5 times 14. Or 14 times 0.5. I could also think of it as half of 14. What's half of 14, Leighton? 7. So we have 0.5 plus 7x. Does A match our original expression? Yeah. Those are our checkpoints, and it matches. A is one of my answers. But look at B. Is B going to match? I need it to match 0.5 plus 7x. Let's check. 0.5 times 2 plus 14x. What is half of 2? 1. Check that with your checkpoint expression. Does that match 0.5? Pick it up. Does this match 0.5? This is just 1. It's not 0.5. We could take half of 14. 1 plus 7x does not match 0.5 plus 7x. Cross out B. Let's check for C. 0.2 on the outside. 0.2 times 1. 0.2 times 7x. What is 0.2 times 1 going to turn into? Grant. It's just 0.2. What about 0.2 times 7? 7 times 2 is whole class. Carry the decimal one place. 1.4 goes next to it. Is that the same thing as 0.5 plus 7x? No, that does not match. Cross it out. And D. Check that one. 0.2 times 1/2. What do I need to do with the 1/2? Change it to a decimal. Do you think this one's going to match just by looking at it? Why not, Evelyn? The numbers don't match because 7x did not match when we multiplied it by 0.2. Are you going to multiply 0.2 by 7x this time? Yes. If you get to a point where you see that directly doesn't match it, cross it out. You could have done it for C. B, you weren't sure because we haven't multiplied 0.5 by 2 yet. So as long as you've done it once, I'm okay with you crossing it out. Example 2. Select all the expressions equivalent to 1/10 x plus 5. First step is to get this into decimal form for our checkpoint. What's 1/10 as a decimal? I got one hand. A strong hand. 2 hands. 3, 4, 5 miles. If I didn't know how to do that process, what would I need to do? If I didn't have it mentally memorized yet? Leighton. What do I do if I don't know the decimal version of 1/10?
Well, then you would just try it. Honestly, I don't know if he's already done.
We would divide. So 1 divided by 10, 1 is in the house. Add the decimal. 10 divided by 10 is 0.1. That works? Okay. You got your checkpoints. Let's start knocking off answers and check them with both of these. So we have 0.1 for A. 0.1 and x plus 50. Maddie, what do I do with the 0.1? We don't add it this time. We multiply it. 0.1 times x is 0.1x. 0.1 times 50 . 1 times 0, 0. 1 times 5 is 5. Josh, what do I do with the decimal? Okay. This is 0.1x plus 5. Does that match any of our checkpoints, Josh? So this one is correct. Okay. Circle it. A is an option. Do I end there and move on to the next problem? No, we need to keep checking them off. 1/10 times 50 plus x. Grant. If you can do that in your head and say 1/10 is 0.1 and 50 plus x is the same thing, you can convert it into a decimal. If that's easier for you, there's 2 different ways of approaching this problem. Yeah. And this one, let's just, for the sake of it though, Grant, let's solve it with a fraction for right now. 50 times 1/10. Write that on your paper. Even if you could do it mentally, I want you to start sorting this out with a fraction to show you can do it. Cross cancel for me, Maya. What do you see that we can cross out? What does it turn into? 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, so let's write this as a 5. And what's 1/10 times x? It's just 1/10 x. Does this match the top one? Taylor, does this match the top expression? But it's flipped around. We could still flip it. You're right. So we could flip this and make it look kind of like that to match it. And that one checks off as well. So far, we have 2 correct answers. Let's check C. Point 1 on the outside. What do you notice that's on the inside of this that makes it look confusing, Isaiah? C looks kind of confusing. Yeah, what can I do to simplify that? Let's divide it. 5 goes into 25 5 times, 5 goes into 0 0 times. So let's rewrite this as 0.1 x plus 50. What do you notice about this problem? The moment you get to one that worked, it matches exactly the same thing. You don't need to show work because you can just match it and check it off. Well, if A worked, then C also has to work. It's the same expression. Lastly, D. One-tenth times 5 plus x. Blake, what do I do first? And what do you get? 5/10 or? Simplify it? 1/2, yeah. So this becomes 1/2 plus 1/10 x. Does that match? Turn and talk, why not? Go. 1/2 plus 1/10 x. Does that match your checkpoint? Why not? What doesn't match? One of them matches. 3, 2, 1. Brayden, what do you notice that's different? Why doesn't it match? I see a 1/10 x on there. What else did you notice? That's your first for being off task. Kevin, what do you notice that doesn't match? 1/2 plus 1/10 x. What doesn't match the expression? One 1/10 x is there, right? What isn't there? The 5 isn't there. 5 turned into 1/2. That doesn't work. So D is not an answer. Cross it out. Go to you try. Select all the expressions equivalent to 1/5 x plus 5. I'll give you 3 minutes to do this on your own. If you need help in a minute, look on the board. Pencil up. We're going to start together. No. Yes. No. Yes. Ready? Blake. Miles. Go. In a minute, if you're confused, look on the board. Look at the board if you're not done. Write down what we have. Carson, does E match?
Yeah.
0.2 x plus 5 looks like it does. That's an option. Does F match Josh?
What?
Does F answer match?
Yes.
What does this turn into?
0.2 x plus 5.
Did you convert this to a decimal?
Yeah.
That works too. You could rewrite it as 0.2 times 25 plus x. And notice, this is the same thing. So F has to be E, Shiloh one. So F works. Does G work, Grant?
Wait, George is E? No, it doesn't. Neither does H.
What does G simplify to? 0.2 times 10 is what?
5.
That's half of 10.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Did you just see that it didn't work? Okay, let's actually do the math and see what it turns into. This is 2x plus 0.2. 2x plus 0.2 doesn't match. You're right. It should be a 0.2x. Cross out G. And H, if this worked with 25, it's not going to work with a 5. So we cross that one out too. That one will not work. Okay, last problem. Flip your page, please, if you haven't. Looks slightly different, but we're going to simplify this top part first. If you guys see your original expression has more than one term in it that's the same, this -3 and -1/12 are the same term. Simplify it first. This -3 has weird fractions. Simplify that as well. Taylor, sit up. -3 with the fractions in x can just turn into -3x. Board the paper. You have a -3 times a -1/12. Let's do some scratch work. Simplify this. On your paper, you should be writing that problem. What happens when you multiply -3 times -1/12? I'm going to rewrite that. Braden, unprofessional too. There you go. What's the answer, Grant? Cross it out. Is it positive or negative? Agree with that? Silent yes. Disagree? Silent no. Should it be -1/4? Carson? If you multiply two negatives, yeah, Sam the Caveman would say it's positive, so let's flip the sign. It's plus. Here's your checkpoint. We want to get something that's -3x plus 1/4. What is the decimal version of 1/4, Maya? You got it. If you aren't sure, divide it. 4 goes into 10 2 times with 2 left over. Add a 0. 4 goes into 25 times evenly. So this is 0.25. Let's scan our problems to see if we have one that matches. This looks actually pretty nice and neat for us, so I don't have to do anything to simplify. Yay. Blake, does A match? The negatives are switched. Does B match? Does C match? Nope. Does D match? Your answer is B and D. Next page, or go down to partners.